Alrighty, it's graphing time. In this video, we're going to graph a piecewise function. We have two functions here, negative x plus 3 and x. So let's take a look at the first function, negative x plus 3. And this is a linear function. So just like the functions that we deal with in Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. So what we're going to do is identify the slope. So m equals to the number in front of x, so it's negative 1. And what we did in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 is find how we graph with a fraction. So what we do is we're going to convert this into a fraction by putting 1 underneath. Now, what I did in Algebra 2 is that the top number would tell us if it's going to go up or down. Since it's negative, this is going to go down 1 unit. And then the bottom number will always go to the right. Now, that's the slope with our directions. Now we have the y-intercept. So here, this is the y-intercept. So I'm going to write y-intercept. Now again, you may hear this a few times, but a reminder, y-intercept is always just a coordinate point. Not just a number, a coordinate point. So, since it's 3, the y-intercept is 0 for the x and 3. So, for y-intercept, the x value is always 0. The y is just a number. Alright, so, graphing here. So here's our y-axis, here's our x-axis. So here's our 3, 0, 3. So I'm going to look for 0, 3. So in the center, 1, 2, 3. So here's the y-intercept. Now here's the situation. The graph can only be shown where x is less than 1. X is less than 1. So here's the center, and then here's 1. So if it's less than 1, that means that you can only see the line on the left side of 1, but not on the right side. So here's our y-intercept, here's our slope. It goes down 1 and then right 1. So down 1, right 1. Now since this is x less than 1, I'm going to put a open circle. And then I'm going to graph by connecting these two dots. So, again, here's the center and here's 1. The reason I put circle at 1 is because here is just x less than 1. So I'm going to connect and graph. So again, it says that x is less than 1 for this function. That means that the values for this function can only be shown for where x is less than 1. You won't be able to see the graph when it's more than 1, the right side. So that's it. Now let's talk about the second function, x. So it's just x, so that means that the slope is just a positive 1 because it's positive, and then I'm going to convert it into a fraction. Now again, top number would tell us if it's going up or down. So since it's positive, it will go up. Bottom number goes right. Since there is no number here behind the x, that means the y-intercept is just 0, 0. So, since it's 0, 0 right here, and it's going to go up 1, right 1. So here's the situation though. The graph can only be seen when x is greater than 4. So let's mark x equals 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I'm making a little mark. And here's the y-intercept. So first, I'm going to go up 1, right 1. up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Okay, I keep doing that until I hit that mark. Alright, so right here is where we're going to start graphing. So, since it's x greater than 4, I'm going to use open circle because it says x greater than 4. Since it did not say x greater than or equal to 4, I can't use closed circle. I'm going to make a bigger circle to see. I'll make this one bigger too. Alright, so starting from there, and again, when it says x greater than 4, then the graph can be seen on the right side of 4. So I could write 4 here. Now, so again, our slope is up 1, right 1. So up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Alright, so I'm going to connect the dots and graph. So here's the graph for the piecewise function here. Negative x plus 3, where x is less than 1. So let me write 1 right here. And then the second function is just x when x is greater than 4. So x greater than 4. Now the reason there's a gap is because there's a gap between the two conditions right here. There's a gap between 1 and 4. So that's alright. Again, here's the graph for negative x plus 3, and then here's the graph for x. And to review, the reason we use open circles is because they don't have that less than or equal to and greater than or equal to, so it doesn't have the lines. If it had the lines, these two would be closed circles. Now we have our second example, another piecewise function with three functions here: negative x, 2x plus 1, and negative 6. Negative 6 is just a constant function, so we're not going to worry so much about this. Now negative x, that's our first function. So just like before, we're going to find the slope. So it's just a number in front of x. So it's a negative, so that means it's a negative 1. Then I'm going to convert it into a fraction, put 1 underneath it. So our direction is, since it's negative on the top, it goes down and then to the right. Since there's no numbers after x, so our y-intercept will be the coordinate 0, 0. But now keep in mind that here, with this function, x is less than or equal to negative 3. So anything less than negative 3, the left side, the graph will be shown. Anything greater than negative 3, it won't be shown. So let's take a look. Here's 0, 0. Now, this is down and right. So it's going down and right. So I'm going to mark so that I can see what the graph looks like. Now, you will see the graph shown starting from negative 3. So, here's negative 2. So, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So, right here. Now, if I get a ruler, I can see where the graph will look like. So, diagonally, right here. So it's going to start right here. Now since it's less than or equal, that means it's going to be a closed circle. Now if I'm graphing backwards, I can change the directions here. If it's down, it's going to go 1 up. If it's to the right, and then it's going to be 1 left. So up 1, left 1. Up 1, left 1. Alright. I got a couple points, so I'm going to graph like this. Straight line. Alright, so again, anything less than negative 3, the graph will be shown. Anything more than negative 3, it won't be shown. So I'm going to take away all these points. Now, that's the graph for negative x, where x is less than or equal to negative 3. And again, at negative 3, it's a closed circle. Now let's do 2x plus 1. So 2x plus 1. And now here's our number in front of x, so that's our slope. So m equals 2, a positive 2. Now we change that to a fraction. Since it's positive 2, it's going to go up 2, right 1. And then here's our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is going to be 0, 1, the coordinate. Again, the 1 came from here. And x is always 0. So let's look at the y-intercept right here. Now keep in mind, the graph can be shown from negative 3 to 2. So here's 2, and then here's negative 3. So the graph will be shown through here. Now keep in mind that it's a less than at negative 3. So that means since there's no equal sign, there's no line, that means this will be an open circle. And then here it says x is less than 2. So that means since there's no line, no equal sign, that means it'll also be an open circle. So let's take a look. 0, 1. So right here. And then we're going to go up 2 and then right 1. So 1, 2, right. And then 1, 2, right. Now I stop here because that's where 2 is. But again, it's an open circle. And then I'm going to connect the y-intercept to that circle. And then I'm going to graph all the way to negative 3. Now again, if I were to graph backwards, so backward would be opposite direction. So since it's up, down. And then since it's to the right, then left. So down 2, 1, 2, and then left 1. Then down 2, left 1. Down 2, left 1. And we stop here because that's negative 3. And at negative 3, it's also a open circle. So now I'm going to connect. There we go. So here's the graph for 2x plus 1 between negative 3 and 2. Between negative 3 and 2. So 2 open circles and the graph between negative 3 and 2. So that's all we have to do for that function. Now for negative 6. Negative 6 is just a constant function. So where it says x is greater than or equal to 2, so at 2 there will be a closed circle. Now since this is a constant function, that means that all the x values, it will equal to negative 6. So let's go over here. When x is 2, it's negative 6. And since it's greater than or equal to, it's a closed circle. At 3, it's negative 6. At x equals 4, it's negative 6 again. At x equals 5, it's negative 6. At x equals 6, it's also negative 6. So you see that it's just going to be a pattern of negative 6. So what we do is we just draw a straight horizontal line and a closed circle at x equals 2. So again, when it's just a number for a function, it will be just a horizontal line, just like that. So here's the graph for negative x from x less than or equal to negative 3. Here's the graph for 2x plus 1 between negative 3 and 2. And then here's the function negative 6 from x and greater.